It just kind of popped in my head. There's no rhyme or reason as to why it's named Sludge Train. Probably subconsciously. There's an Alice in Chains song called Sludge Factory. Probably because of that, but couldn't tell you, it just popped in my head. Named it before the album was even anything was written for it, so the album is entirely driven to live up to that name. Yeah.
Very true.
Pretty much. So it might be a different album if it was named something else. Who knows?
Yeah, we should have named it Disco Biscuits.
Fucking would have sounded like disco.
He goes to work and I go to work, and then we come back at the end, and we kind of each have like 5 songs written or ready to go, almost ready to go, something like that. But it's usually a split thing. He knows he has to do 5, I know I have to do 5. And in the end, we kind of push them together and put them in order and see how they work together as a cohesive unit and turn them into an album.
Yeah, typically my 5 are done well after his 5. I don't know how, but like he'll be like, "Oh yeah, we'll go over and we'll get them done this day," and then like his will already all be done and recorded, and I have no idea what's on them. I'll just get presented 5 songs, and that's about it. And I'll just be like, "These are my 5," and it's usually like, "Okay, let's go record them."
I always like to get mine out of the way. I don't know why. I like to get them out of the way. I go over there by myself. I get them out of the way. I do all the shit.
I think that's the main thing people might not realize is that everybody writes by themselves, pretty much. There isn't like, "Oh, we wrote this one together a lot." Like that typically doesn't happen that often.
This is an odd question for us because
There's 2 answers to that question.
yeah, it takes a very long time. But that's only because there's like these weird breaks and pauses put in.
Yeah.
Writing the songs doesn't take long. It's just getting the album from beginning to end usually is like a 3-year 3-year thing.
With like, well, it's usually like with In the Air actually that took about a month. That was that was quick. I was in college and taking finals when it was written, so it was written over the course of 4 weeks tops, and every time
Probably.
there was a writing session I would just write in the studio, and every song was written between 10 minutes and an hour. So that's how that came together. With Sludge Train, it was written over probably the course of a year, but not like actively sitting there in a studio writing, just more like, oh, I kind of came up with a song, I'll just keep it there, and then I came up with another one, just have it there. Then you go in the studio and you'd record a song, you'd be like, oh, this sounds so good, and then you take 8 months off and just not touch it. And then we went back in and we recorded like 2 more songs, or maybe 3 or 4, and then we took another 8-9 months off and didn't touch it. And then I think we went in and finished writing like half of it, and we took like another 4 or 5 months off. And then usually what happens is at the end you're like, this has to get put out, and for like 2 months maybe, so maybe like a month, 2.
Yeah. It's good to give yourself a deadline, and we kind of, what we did was we were almost done. And then we had a point where we set up the CD release party before it was even done.
Yeah.
And then it was like, well, we got about a month and a half to get this done. And we're like 80% done. So we should really kick our shit into gear and get this thing done. And most of the done that we mean is just, at that point, mixing and mastering is a pain in the asses. Recording is actually very, very quick for us.
It never takes long at all.
Yeah, recording for us is actually very, very fast. Putting our guitar and bass on, so we can have a song done a day because we move pretty quick. And then the vocals will be, depending on how you want to do them, you might say, oh, is this going to be hard? Is this going to be soft?
Bullshit. All my vocal tracks here on Sludge Train were done within like 2 takes.
That's true.
That wasn't my idea, by the way. I didn't want to do it like that. But I'd be like, well, let me try, because most of them I hadn't really sung before. I didn't know what I was going to do going in. And I'd sing it one time and be like, well, let me just see how it sounds. And then it'd be like, well, just do the whole song through so we can get a good idea. Okay. And then I'd finish and be like, all right, you're good. And I'd be like, well, let me sing it again. And just wouldn't hit the record button. So most of what you hear on the album, if you ever hear me sounding like I'm off key, I am, because I never sung them before.
For my process is very much like, okay, you get 3 tries, and then out of those 3 tries is what you get. So
you get 2 tries.
Every time you record a guitar, it's like, okay, record your guitars for this. Do three takes and it's over. You're never going to touch it again. And then I'll do 3 takes of my guitar parts, or 3 takes of whoever's playing bass. A lot of times when we do a song, whoever wrote the song winds up playing bass on it for some reason. So, you know, the vocals are a lot of within 2 or 3 takes. It's like, 'cause I hate losing the magic of I don't like to beat it to death. The first inspiration you have, it's like he'll do a vocal line, and then my point of view would be like, maybe on that one word you can just take it up a little bit more of an octave. And then he'll do that, and I'll be like, okay, we're done. We're good. And he's like, well, let me do the whole thing. Like, nah, fuck that. We're good. We're out of here.
Yeah. Most of the touch-ups on the songs were like re-sing one line in one verse.
Right.
Right. Other than that, they were kept the same.
And I always felt bad for John. He was always wanting to be like, give me the songs, let me flesh out my drum parts. And I'm like, no, you're gonna think of them on the spot, and we'll just take it from there. And he's like, what? And so it was. In the end, it worked out great. But that's the way, for me, I like to work with people. It's like, you got 5 minutes, come up with something. You got 5 minutes, come up with something. Let's go. And if it takes longer than 5 or 10 minutes, I'm like, well, then you don't. The ideas aren't coming. We'll come back to it another time or something like that. But it's very, first instincts to me are the best instincts. So, people would think that you're in there slaving away. Slaving away is mixed mastering and EQing.
Yeah, that shit sucks.
The making of it, performing the songs and recording the songs is easier than shit, really.
That's when it just becomes a grind, because at that point it's almost like the creative side of it is almost done, and now it's the professional, like, this has to sound a certain way, and it's not like, oh, we're writing songs and making it. It's more like we're just perfecting what's there.
Right.
And it's fun, and it's something you live for, but it's still it's almost a tedious type of work, and it's very time consuming and labor intensive, as opposed to the writing, which is like, oh, I have an idea, I can do this. And the mixing and mastering is more, at 37 seconds on this track there's a pop, we gotta go in and fix it. Oh, I can't find what track is popping, so it's a fucking pain in the ass, but it, makes the album sound decent at the end of the day.
If it's any clue, since we finished the album, I have not listened to it. I haven't, because I can't. I heard it thousands of times. We really, 90% of the time, try not to touch anything unless it's something that was just like a mic picked up a pop, or a buzz came really loud through. You're like, oh, I got to get rid of that. But we try to take an analog approach to digital recording. You play your parts, you play them live, you play them all the way through, and if there's some little oddball thing that you have to fix, which comes up for any band, anytime, anywhere, in any studio, you go in and you retouch that.
Those songs are mostly live.
Yeah, most of that stuff is all the real tracks.
Bubbles.
Try to have the idea of, either you can play or you can't.
And if you have a popular demand, if everybody asks nicely.
I have no idea where this is even going. Now I know where this is going. The true secret behind this record.
You will get a special Q&A with Marco.
Baby Nuggle! Look at the camera, Nugs!
Nugs!